What's happening, Raleigh Nation? This is the O&G StrikeZone. I am Kelvin Rozier, and that is Marcus Green, the third member of our team, is on coaching duty right now, Brian Fulford. So he'll be here at the top of the ninth or the top of the top of the 9 o'clock hour. In the meantime, we'll have AD Drew filling in, and he'll be hopping on shortly. What's up, Marcus? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Coming off a victory and looking forward to recruiting season. Things kind of slow, but I expected to pick up and had a good holiday and good Thanksgiving. Good to get some time off. How about you?
Man, holiday, man. I didn't entertain. It was just me and the wife pretty much. Even the youngest daughter was away on Thanksgiving Day, and the two oldest were traveling the world. So it was pretty quiet, but I ended up doing pretty much the entire dinner, man, and I might have did a little too much because the clothes ain't fitting the way they supposed to fit, man.
Oh yeah, and it's getting cold. You can't get outside. Or at least up here, it's getting cold. We can't get out on the inside. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is cold here, buddy.
You
yes,
see,
sir.
I got on the hoodie on the inside of the house.
Hey, I got the corduroy blaze on. I'm right there with you, buddy. It's supposed to be maybe 29, 30 in the morning. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a little chilly, man. But we want to thank everybody for watching us and supporting the show. We're gonna do shout outs shortly. We're gonna ask that everybody who's watching, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and check us out on all our platforms: Twitter, Facebook, IG, YouTube. So make sure you support us, check us out. And we're gonna start off. Go ahead, jump into the shout outs right quick. First one in the room. Oh, there you go. Hold on. What's up, Drew? How's it going?
What's up, Drew?
Mic check. Can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah, we hear you good, man.
We got you.
Yeah, I got me.
How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing all right, fellas. How y'all doing, man?
Doing good.
Doing well, brother. How was your holidays?
Man, I spent it on the road, man. I was with the house. We traveled down to Lakeland, Florida. We played down in Lakeland, and we split down in Lakeland. But that's how I spent my holiday on the charter bus with the basketball team. Thanksgiving dinner was at the hotel.
Been there, done that, my brother. I know it well.
Yes. But I heard y'all talking about clothes not fitting. I did a good job because when I got on the scale after Thanksgiving, I was down a couple, which means, obviously I had to be down going into Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yes, sir. Cut all that bread out, man.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm not a big bread eater, but I do love those the rice and the potatoes, man.
Yeah, it's bread and starch, man.
Yeah. I'm not a bread eater, but I'm definitely a starch eater.
Yes, sir.
But we'll work on it. All right, so let's go with shout outs right quick. And the first one in the chats today, Ken, Alex, how y'all doing? Thank you for watching the show. J Matt, second on the list. JBN subscriber. Thank you, sir, for being a JBN subscriber. And then Daha, Melissa Wilson.
Hey, Melissa.
What's up, Melissa? In the house. Coach, for Ross and Norman. What's going on, Coach? Good luck to you, Coach. There's a lot of positions open right now, Coach. Good luck to you. That's all I can say.
And we talk about it 2-3 times a day, man.
Yes, sir. It's a lot to talk about. What, three or more happened today?
I lost track. I think we might be, if we're not at double digits with all the openings, we are approaching double digits. Close. I know we were at 7 this morning. That was before any announcements had come out that we had counted 7.
Maybe in the bottom half of the hour when we come back, we'll spend a little 5 minutes or so talking about all the different openings and what's a good opportunity and some of the head scratchers, because there's a couple of head scratchers in there too.
Definitely.
Meredith, what's up, Meredith? How's it going? Duval, Marvin Allen in the house. Thank you for watching the show. Appreciate you. The instigator, even though he's been pretty good over the last 4 weeks. Edwin Moore is in the house. What's up, Edwin? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, good luck Saturday. I believe I'm right when I say that. I think you're a Southern guy. All right, we're gonna Mary 305 JBN subscriber. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber. What's up, Mary? Hey, Auntie Sam Dissy. What's up, Dissy? What's
What's up,
happening?
Sam?
JBN subscriber. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber. Chuck Hunt from Nashville, Tennessee. No, Monroe, Louisiana. What's up, Chuck?
I ain't know Chuck got that relocation package, man.
Hey, man, I've been trying to move Chuck ever since he been on the show, because he always let you know he's checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Leave no doubt. We also got Reggie Delane in the house. What's up, Reggie? Thank you for watching the show. Good friend of the show, Tamara T. What's up, Tamara? How you doing? It's been a minute since we seen you. Thank you for being a JBM subscriber. Gail, what's happening? Saw you at the basketball game. You know, I just realized, talking with Gail, that she's a local girl. I thought for some reason she was from Cleveland because she, lives there now. But no, she's a local young lady. Thank you for watching the show, Gail. What's up, P. Cole Ashton? Ashton in the house. Thank you for watching, Ashton. B. Starks, what's going on? I believe that's North Carolina, Charlotte, or Atlanta, one of them. I'm close. What's up, B. Starks? James Austin, what's going on, buddy? No Lawsons in Lawson. You are absolutely right. We're gonna make sure we do that moniker for the basketball team. They're undefeated. Men's basketball is undefeated at Lawson so far, and we got a game coming up Friday. That's also should be a winnable game. Congratulations to coach and the team for their first Division I win of the season, and we'll get into that a little later. I was at that game. We controlled the game most of the time, but late we held on. But we'll talk about that later. EA, the High, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for watching the show. We got Demetra A in the house. What's up, Demetra? Good to see you. Will Davis. What's up, Will? Thank you for watching the show. Mike Road Dog Reed. What's going on? Tampa in the house. Thank you for watching. Duval, Karen Daniels. What's going on, Karen? Thanks for watching the show. And just in case I didn't say it, B. Starks, JBN subscriber, thank you.
And he clarified, it's the A.
It's the A. Okay, I know it was one of them. All right. Little baby, what's going on? Hello, little baby. Thank you for watching the show. And what is EA talking about? He ain't quiet today. He look like he going in on me. Oh no. EA, that's not no. I know you can't tell, but this is olive green.
And speaking of, happy Founders Day to the brothers of Alpha.
Yeah.
Phi Alpha.
Yeah, for sure. Happy Founders Day. All right, now, fellas, I guess we're going to start off with the Alabama A&M game, football. Mm-hmm. What happened over on Friday. FAMU came away with a victory, a 28-20 victory over Alabama A&M. We said on the show last week that Cornell Mater might be playing for his job. Well, it kind of looks that way afterwards.
Yeah.
As he's one of those coaches that didn't make the cut. The game itself, it was cold. It rained most of the day, so it was a late arriving. It was a late arriving crowd, but the crowd came nonetheless, about 10,000 plus at the game.
I was wrong on that.
It did clear up around kickoff time. The tailgate, man, we had some great food, man. We just a lot, because of the rain and the cold. A lot of people were late arriving, but nice fellowship, and the team played a solid game,
Hmm.
right? One of the more complete games, and I thought it was very important for us to finish up strong with 2 wins. It was senior day, so we sent our seniors off right, and it kind of, I think, got the players as well as the coaches in a good mental space going into the off season and give us a little momentum going into recruiting. But Marcus, I'm gonna let you go first, man. Talk about what your thoughts on that 28-20 victory over Alabama A&M.
Well, I was pleased with most of the play call. Seemed like it got bogged down a little bit in the second half. But I mean, just coming out the gate, I mean, you start off with a reverse to Goldie Lawrence, and then in 2 plays, you had a touchdown. I mean, I barely had a chance. I think my couch was still cold. I had just sat down right before the kickoff, and boom, boom, score right off the bat. And I was very pleased about that. It showed it wasn't conservative in the sense that the first play you call is a reverse. And one of the things that I remember, and I know I've mentioned on the show before, but way back, I think it was the national championship game, and this is Florida State related. FSU and Virginia Tech with Michael Vick and everybody else when they won the title. That there was like a fourth down call that they had, and all year long they had done a fullback dive, and I think in the same down and situation. So they actually did a tendency breaker and did like a fake dive and a pitch to the running back to get a fourth down, I guess to keep the drive going because Virginia Tech was coming back. I think the same mentality went into that play. First call of the game, you do a reverse because they know we've been pounding the ball and trying to emphasize the running game and actually running up the middle. And so you do something that's a tendency breaker. And I think that type of approach and mentality will go a long way as we go forward. Now, that doesn't mean you pull out a trick play when it's inappropriate or it's like, okay, super risky. But a tendency breaker, especially get you out of a rut and to get things going with a offensive play caller who's in his second game in that role, I think boded well. And overall, they played pretty good. And I was a little hesitant because, I mean, the Alabama A&M came in scorching hot, scoring, I don't know how many points, like 35, 40 points in the previous 3 games. Granted, the teams that they played against or they scored against may not have been at the same talent level, but still, someone coming in that hot, and even against the team who's the number one and representing the East, they still scored 38. They were down big and got within a touchdown. So I was a little worried depending on but the defense showed up and showed out. I was really pleased. And actually, the last touchdown, I'm kind of like, kind of iffy on that just because I think that pass interference call was a little shaky.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but,
yeah.
Other than that, I didn't see a whole – I saw some things that we could be used for going forward in terms of continuing to emphasize the positives going into the offseason.
Yeah, and I just add to your point about the defense. Alabama A&M only had 336 yards of total offense, only 75 yards rushing, and Eagling is a legit back. So the effort against the run was really good. The other stat that stands out to me was the penalty yards. Alabama A&M had a host of personal fouls. They were extremely undisciplined, and they did not help themselves at all with that. But I thought the defensive effort was pretty good. Drew, what's your opinion on what you saw?
Well, I didn't actually see a whole lot of the game. We played about the same time that this game was going on. I was able to catch bits and pieces of it here and there on the iPad. I was more stat watching than anything else in this particular matchup. And one thing that caught my eye was Kelvin Dean, 12 rushes, 74 yards, and Somerset, 8 rushes. Excuse me, Kelvin Dean had 75 yards. Somerset had 74 yards. And then Franklin added in another 46 yards. So, just seeing the consistent emphasis on the run game, and can I say it? What was that the first 3 quarters of the season? Did we have to lose to Valley before we realized that we needed to put the ball in somebody's belly? Did we have to have a Valley hangover and lose to Prairie View? Thank God Tylenol works because we did not have a Bethune hangover like I thought we would. And the other thing in this particular game, honestly, it was probably one of the most competitive games of the weekend. I was surprised that neither team mailed this game in. Both teams competed hard and played hard. This is just one of those games where you knew somebody was going to lay down and like 1, 2, 3 finals. Let's go ahead and get this semester over with. And for both teams, I think it was good that they both competed well, and you had a very competitive game. Both teams gave maximum effort.
Absolutely, it was a quality game. It looked like two teams that were competing for the second spot in the East. I imagine the game had been played originally when it was supposed to be played. I don't think it would have been much different, to be honest. Well, I say this about the point you made about why our running game looks different, and we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. Well, sometimes new blood, new voice, new energy is what is needed in order to kickstart stuff, right? So we got a new.
I didn't want to go there.
Hey, we gonna go there.
Now, Drew, to your point, looking at, and kudos to Brian. He said ever since the Southern game, the running game really kicked in, and that was the first game we actually outrushed an opponent. And ever since then, I'm got my little charts up. We've come close, or we've bested the running average, the rush average yards per game that we had last year. So last year we averaged about 138 or 138.1 yards per game rushing. So for Southern, we got 126. And ever since then, even Texas Southern, we were over 200, 140 versus Prairie View. And we probably should have been more just because I think we threw like 40 sometimes that game, which kind of belies some things, especially since Junior came in for the majority of the game and we're throwing that much. 172 against Valley, even though that wasn't a victory. 305 against Bethune. And then, 222 total against Alabama A&M. So the emphasis on the run, or the improved efficiency on the run, I don't know. It's a matter of the play call, when it's called, just the offensive line gelling. But you're right. We didn't see all of that in the beginning of the year for whatever reason. But it's really come on. And Coach Colsey, he's made comments either in the press conference on Mondays or even in 220 QB Club, Eddie Jackson, that, he said, offhand, I would have liked to have done something different here or emphasized the run. And we thought coming into this season that he would be more of like a run first defensive coach or type of philosophy. And it didn't really work out that way, I guess, in the early part because we got behind and perhaps didn't crack the runs like we needed to. But of late, it has been 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
But one thing you have to keep in mind, Marcus,
mm-hmm.
If we're not coming out trying to throw the ball 7 out of 8 times to open up the game like we was at the beginning of the season, then maybe we don't get behind like we do and depend on the right arm of Daniel Richardson. I mean, let's be real, Marcus. Daniel Richardson won those first 2 ball games.
Oh, yeah.
Those 2 ball games, if dare I say it, if that's Junior at quarterback, we start the season 0-4 very easy.
Oh, agree. So yeah, there is the specter or the threat of him balling because look, he got newcomer of the year, had nearly a 70% completion rate. So he definitely made the difference in scouting out. I don't know what our first play call was, typically, and I haven't gone back and try to comb all the play-by-plays, but if we come out throwing first, and that's been our MO for the majority of the year, then yes, that played a big role in marching down the field really quickly against Alabama A&M. But overall, the offense has looked much, much better. It seemed disjointed against Valley. I watched that game, and it just seemed like things were just out of sync all day for whatever reason. But the last two games, it's really shown to be in tune, in sync, seeming very timely. Maybe only a couple plays here or there that you would take back. I
Well,
guess the one.
we got
Go
off
ahead.
to good stars. You
Hmm.
know, we actually scored on the first drive or the first second drive. I think the last three games, and also we were more consistent. For instance, in the Alabama A&M game, we scored in every quarter but the fourth. We scored 14 in the first, a touchdown in the second, and a touchdown in the third. So we didn't have those lulls that we had previously in earlier games. Also,
Hmm.
so that was encouraging. And I will remind you that we had some players who was injured, a lot of players who didn't play, even guys who played like Thad didn't play like the second half. He started the game and had some good carries, but got a little banged up, and so the Gassett didn't play. Of course, Ace Carr been out. So I think that's the part that maybe some people miss. We know our kicker and punter who are now in the transfer portal, our starters, been out since the Miami game. So we've just had a lot of guys that were anticipating on doing a lot of steps that didn't play. But with that victory, we finished second in the East, uh, tied with Alabama State, but of course we beat them head to head. 75 for Coach Cozy's first season. So what's your thought? What's your thought? I'm gonna go with Drew on this one first. Drew,
Uh-oh.
what's your thought on Coach Cozy in his first season?
Let me be honest.
Yeah, that's what we do.
I don't know why y'all expected anything better than the 75. You know, we talked all this trash on Jackson State last year, but Jackson State had all those defections. New coach, even though he came from the ranks. So we talked all this trash. It's par for the course. What did Alabama? Oh, excuse me. What did Jackson State go last year? 74. So 7 wins, all turnover. New coach, promoted first time head coach, promoted from wasn't even a coordinator. Coach Cozy wasn't even a coordinator for FAMU last year, and wound up skipping the coordinator role and becoming the head coach. It's a yeah. Did I hope we went 71, 8-0 in conference? Of course I did. I'm a rattler. But realistically speaking, putting on taking those orange glasses off, yeah, 75. Now I expected a little bit better in the conference. I did expect at least one more win in the conference, and you know which game I'm talking about that I would expect to lose. You know, I honestly I figured we would drop either Southern or Jackson State. We and that's exactly what we did. We dropped one of those two. I preview away, not at Big Shocker, but come on, Valley at home. Just that one is the head scratcher out of
Exactly.
Yeah.
out of all of it. And he had to feel himself out, had to understand the process, and just because you're in the same place and you move 2 offices down, same building, same people, don't mean the same things work. And I think it took him a while to figure it out. And the stuff that we talked about behind the scenes early in the season that
Hmm.
concerned us started rearing their ugly heads later on in the season.
You talking
Turnover.
about the management of team and
Well, not even that. I'm just talking on the field. I'm not even
yeah.
talking about the off the field stuff. On the field, we turning the ball over 3-4 times against Norfolk, South Carolina State, and things like that, but we still getting the dub. And people kind of push it to the side because you're getting the dub. You know, we moved the ball for a soft squad of nothing against Miami and Troy.
Hmm.
we come back, Jackson State got the game won. And then what happens? We turned the ball over. But I did see some positive.
Twice.
But I did see some positive. That was the first game we really actually started generating turnovers, because before then we had hardly generated turnover at all. I don't think we had it up to that point. So you started seeing some positives in that loss. But then natural tribulation and all other kind of stuff. And thank God for Texas Southern, who showed us that we can score a rushing touchdown. I'm gonna leave it right there because I got to leave some meat on the bone for Mark.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcus. What's your thought? Oh, Drew. So give me a letter grade. What'd you give? What'd you give him, Coach Cozy?
C plus.
Right.
C, a C, 6 and 6 is a C.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, C plus. Maybe if I go and reevaluate his final project, he may be able to get a B minus. And when I give him that B minus, it's that 79.8, and I've just rounded it up to that 8.
Okay. I got you. All right. So Marcus, let's hear your evaluation of Coach first year and give your letter grade also.
Well, I'm gonna take a little bit further than that. I'm gonna go back to around this time last year, and I know you and I've talked, you and Brian talked off camera, maybe even a little bit last week. But this has to be the most disjointed. What's the word that Gerald used? Incohesive, if that's the right for usage of it, off season of a championship team that I've seen in a while. I mean, it just started out like that, and the whole seems like there's like maybe a sterile business like approach, but no joy in the off season when you have been going through coaching search, the AD controversy with the search, the alumni voicing displeasure about how things went, then selecting the coach, going through all that, and then the offseason, then having the exodus of players either due to graduation or the portal, and then having to get new players in. And like Drew was saying, and we've said before, basically almost the same amount of players that Jackson State had to replace in 2023, almost 40 to 50 players between graduation and things of that nature, bringing in that much with a new coach and having to create the environment that is post Willie Simmons was a lot. And so I think that also had some impact as well. And so in terms of Coach Colsey, I would say once again, it's the first time coach at FAMU. He's coached before. He had to find his way. There was a lot of, and this is just my interpretation, there was a lot of pressure, if you will, in terms of, running back Colsey, keep it the same. We're just coming off the championship, keeping a lot of things the same. And going forward, we'll have to see if he's allowed, or the way the season went, if it gives him the leeway to shape things more in the mold of how he'd like it versus trying to keep the things that was implemented under Coach Simmons and trying to run it back. So as his first season, I was thinking close to Drew. I was thinking B minus, C plus, because there were some positives around the season. You had to go through some hiccups, some learning curves in terms of managing the coaching and managing the players. He was very forthright and honest as it relates to coming out when we lost. He took the blame for it. He admitted some things, not only at the 220 QB club, but especially after the loss for PV and loss at Valley. He stood there and took the arrows. So, and then going forward, there's going to be high expectations. Expectations aren't going to drop. And he said consistently, the standard's the standard.
Absolutely.
So he's going to have to make sure he puts things in place, whether the expectations on the players, recruiting of players, coaches, if he sees a need or feels the need to make some changes on the staff or routine, the standard's still going to be the standard. So we're going to have to see. But overall, and from a first year coach, we've talked about it before, where first year coaches, and I think all the ones that have won championships, their first season was kind of like just barely over 500. Then they took off from there. So if that's any good omen, then perhaps so. But we'll see.
What you got, Drew?
Marcus.
Yes.
I need you to look west, my brother. Well, southwest from where you were at. And look down in the bayou and talk about a first year coach, barely above 500. Oh, my bad. Who in the championship game?
Jennings Berry.
Not that first year coach. That would be due south. I'm talking about the people in the bayou in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
So miss me with that. We expect him to be, that. I'm giving him a C plus.
Well, I didn't say we expected it. I said he turns out in the first year, traditionally, well, we've seen the first year of some of our championship coaches have been that. That doesn't mean we expected it. Because if we go back to our preseason thing, and I never got a chance to go back and look at the video, Kelvin, I think we were predicting 9-3, 10-2. So we have to go back and check. So our expectation was that we weren't expecting to lose the Valley. We weren't expecting to lose the PV.
Right.
For most of us, it was a toss. I know for me, I can only speak for me. I think if I recall, it was a toss-up 1-1 since we were both playing Bama State and Jackson at their place. I thought we would split. And it turns out we did. We just had other two losses that we didn't expect from PV and Valley. So my expectation was 9-3. We wouldn't have been in the championship if we'd have lost one or the other. If we
actually, if we beat Jackson and lose to Alabama State, we probably still there.
Yeah, depending on how the things worked out. But I was predicting 93.
Mm-hmm. So y'all guys, y'all put some context on it. I'm gonna just say a couple of bullet points, straightforward. You can't lose the Valley. That's bullet point.
I mean,
A, B, and C.
You got a 0 on that assignment.
Yeah. You can't lose the Valley. And the home winning streak went with it. You lost the home winning streak against Valley. Now, he did win homecoming. He did win the Classic. So, I think a C plus is reasonable, And in terms of expectation of this first year, again, we looked at the schedule. We know we had the two FBS teams. Mm-hmm. So, we kind of figured, it is hard to expect a first-year coach to come in and do that, even though I think with Troy, had we had a different kind of play calling and coaching, that was definitely a possibility. And then having Alabama State and Jackson State on the road, the one I predicted, if we was going to lose a game in the SWAC, I said it would be the Jackson State game. Again, game that we led from like the beginning of the second quarter to the last 4 minutes of the game. So again, another winnable game in which we kind of imploded. And I don't put all of this on the coach, right? Some of these things where, the players didn't, perform or did some things that, they had control of. But at the end of the day, he's the professional, he's the head. So I think C plus is a fair assessment of this season. And I guess now it goes back to ties into, what does that mean for the off season? And so, Marcus, I want you to kind of lead into the recruiting aspect of it.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't seen a whole lot today. I saw Gerald's updated report where the transfer from Air Force Academy played at Plant City High School, Chase Dexter, signed. And he's transferring from the Air Force Academy, but I haven't seen any other signings. And I know I've been in and out the majority of the day, but I've been trying to keep up. And we have two commitments, one local from, I believe, Mackay Maddox, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, wide receiver from Lincoln High School. And, I can't remember the other gentleman's name. Sam, I can't remember his last name, but he plays for Western High School. And they made regional finals last week. He's like a 6'4", 215 tight end defensive end. But
he's a legacy.
I have not seen any confirmed signings. I've been trying to keep up with the local Tallahassee area to see if anyone signed that we may not have been aware of. And I know Coach Colsey did mention today in the 220 QB club that they were still keeping tabs on high school kids and they wanted to get some high school signees, but I haven't seen it yet. But in terms of overall team need, I know Gerald had an article on that the other day, and depending on who stays or who goes, but we know we at least need an experienced QB, and I'm just interested to see how it's just flooded the market right ahead of the transfer portal window.
Wait,
Yes.
Did we have like 5-6 quarterbacks on the doggone roster back during camp?
We did.
What happened to the other 4?
Oh, they're still there, I'm assuming. We don't know who's going to jump in the portal. We don't know, granted, Richardson was a signee before Colsey became the coach. Right. We don't know what kind of QB he wants. And he was a signee before Coach Burris came on board. Right. So we have to see what kind of players that they want, what kind of style they want.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't stop at that. But I think the beefing up the lines, even when we talked about last year, beefing up the lines is a priority. We have one person who jumped in the portal as a reserve offensive lineman. We don't know what's going to happen between now and the portal window in December and the one in the spring in terms of who feels that they may not be getting an opportunity. And plus, the way we've played the last 2 or 3 games, I could imagine that offensive line and defensive line are going to be a point of emphasis because Coach Colsey has more or less said directly, indirectly, he wants to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage. And you do that with D linemen who play at a high quality level. And I don't know if we maybe unfairly comparing them, but the play of the defensive line this year wasn't the same as last year. And the offensive line came on late. And I think he would just build around that.
Yeah, we definitely going to have to look at our special teams unit.
Oh yeah,
with punter and kicker also.
I agree because you could tell the difference. I think a lot of our woes came in. Well, I won't say a lot, but some of the woes were magnified by not having touchbacks. Some of the special teams deficiencies and putting the team in track meets. And even some of the upsets or close scores, I think may have been mitigated had we continued to have kickoffs being touchbacks versus great returns that were getting other teams near midfield or touchdowns.
Yeah, and to that point, let's have the discussion, Drew. I'm gonna let you in, but I see the discussion. It's been hinted at in the chats already.
Mm-hmm.
What about the staff?
You cannot.
It's a lot of, and let me preface that by saying there's a lot of coaches who may be great coordinators available right now. There's a lot of coaches in the portal.
In the portal.
But here's the thing, Kelvin. There are a lot of head coaches, people with head coaching experience, who were formerly once good OCs or DCs. We also need to look at that. Don't look coordinator to coordinator, possibly D2 coordinator coming up to FCS coordinator or something like that. Let's also go back and look at some of these head coaches that have been offensive gurus or defensive gurus. So, like you say, there are plenty of coaches out there. And there's, what do you want if you're coaching? Do you want to take that time and give somebody a chance? Or are you trying to get that experienced coach who's been there, who's done that? But is the experienced coach just going to be a rental? And are you happy with them? Rental for 1 year? Or are you looking for that young kid who's trying to get that shot and going to give you 2 to 3 years and let you build something? Because we got young quarterbacks who are on the roster right now. So if you're going to develop one of these young quarterbacks, they are going to need a coordinator who's going to be here for multiple years, because there's nothing worse for a quarterback than having a different girlfriend every year. We just put it like that. Same thing on the defense. How you feel about Smitty? I don't think Smitty coming back. I think that bridge was burned when he was not named the head coach.
Or AD's interim.
Yeah, I think that bridge was totally burned. But the same thing, if Smitty becomes the coach, then the bridge with Cozy is burned. So you had to pick who you thought was best for your program. The one thing Cozy has to do now, Cozy, and I hate to say it has to do to TC Taylor, he has to get out of the shadow of Willie Simmons. He has to do what he needs to do to make this his program. If that's clamping down on everybody, on the coaches, the coordinators, and micromanaging it for a minute to get it to be his program, that's what he needs to do. If he needs to loosen up certain things, that's what he needs to do. But whatever it is, James Cozy III has got to figure out who he is as a head coach, the type of people who he want on his staff, and type of players he wants. Go out and get them and figure out how he wants to run his program. James Cozy III, you are not Willie Simmons. No, and that's no disrespect to either one of them. You have to be your own man and do what you need to do and what you feel right in your heart to run their program. And that is a mistake of so many coaches who try to move up and replace a coach and run it back with that same style and everything else that was already in place. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier, Drew. Everybody had the championship feeling and the championship high. But it's probably difficult coming in with a team that coming off a championship, you're a brand new coach, and trying to establish your own identity without completely running counter when the whole momentum is to, hey, run it back with what we already have. So,
but Marcus, we didn't have the thing everybody keeps forgetting. We did not have the same team coming back. That should have
been something. People had expectations there.
But the moment that scared me more than anything else was when James Cozy said he was going out and trying to get the same type players that we had to play the system that was already in place. High school athletics, college athletics, you have to be able to evolve your system for the talent that you have. It is hard, even with the portal, to go out and get the exact player that you need for the system. I think we found out the hard way. So, I'll just say this, and I'm going to offend somebody when I say this. Some of these people in the portal for a reason, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave it right there. Everything is not good.
I don't think that people say run it back, but let's look at that part of it, right? So we didn't have hardly any of the same defensive staff. Smitty Rock wasn't there. Billy Rowe wasn't there. Pat Watson wasn't there.
And James Cozy wasn't on defense no more.
Right. And then the guys who were left over, they were in different roles. So not only did we not have those players who went in the portal or graduated, but we didn't have the same staff. Now I was argue that we didn't try to run the same program that we did as coordinators on offense or defense. We didn't do the same things. And therefore, I think that was part of the lack of success early. The other thing I'd say with something you pointed out, Drew, you ain't wrong. You very, I think, fair in your assessment about creating your own program as coach as head coach, right?
Yeah, it's to put his fingerprint on.
Hey, but let me say something though. And it is what it is. The standard is the standard. If you put your finger on it and you ain't winning, it don't mean a damn thing. Hey, he ain't gonna have 3-4 years to turn this thing around now. I mean, So don't blow it up if it ain't broke. That was the whole thought process of having some continuity with the staff. And is that it was a championship program, and I think it's important also to emphasize and button up this topic is that we were not that far from running it back again. Jackson State, that's a game we led into the last 4 minutes, fourth quarter. So and we lost the Valley at home. So if you just win 2 of those games, right? We run it in the back. So it almost worked.
PV
we were there.
Half, and it's a totally different team out there once he got hurt.
Yeah. That one I kind of.
That's why I don't talk about that one that much because once him and Kelvin Dean both got hurt, and we were behind early by 10. We were down 10-0.
They both got hurt the first half, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah,
first
they did.
Quarter,
first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
I am going to say this as we get ready to go to break. We do have. We will be representing in Atlanta though.
Yeah.
We have a championship
that's right.
Going to Atlanta.
Yes, sir. And I want 100 to do it to him. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Well, what was the question, Larry? I missed the question.
I don't know, Larry.
I missed the question, Larry. Let's see if I can find it.
You're gonna have to go back, man.
Yeah, I'm looking. I know how is this possible for him, a defensive coach? If that's the question that you're asking, Larry, how is this possible? He's no longer on defense. He's got to manage both sides of the ball now. It's a different role when you're a head coach versus just a position coach or coordinator.
Hey, newsflash. Isaiah Major is coaching now. He's not out there on that field. The other linebacker, what's his name, went to Colorado.
John Chaney.
And then you had Jenna Hunt who left. You had Sharif Sahi went to UCLA. You had Anthony Dunn who went to Toledo.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how that happens. It's the Henrys and Joes. Y'all want to put everything on coaching. Sometimes it's the Henrys and Joes. And the leadership we had on last year's team, and as well as one more point that I think we always forget. Our schedule was so much easier than this year's schedule. I mean, if you look at our outer conference, we played a South Carolina State, which we actually beat. That's in the Celebration Bowl. We played a Norfolk State team that was respectable. We didn't play a D2 team. We didn't play California Jesus Christ School of Norm. All right.
And the two biggest competitions in the Eastern Division at their place.
But
the margin error was flip. The margin error was a lot smaller. At the end of the day, it was a much difficult role to the whole on this time. But so Drew, I know we done skipped over the break. Let's go get our 2 and 2. We'll be right back. O&G StrikeZone, y'all.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
All right, welcome back to O&G StrikeZone. I am Kevin Rozier. That is AD Drew, and that is Marcus Green. Guys, we're going to button up the whole football talk by talking about all conference members of the FAMU squad and just the all conference football in general.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kevin, if I could jump back one quick thing on the season.
Go ahead.
We had a very disjointed season as well. We had interruptions. We basically had 3 bye weeks, due to weather and everything else. So that just contributed to some of the unsettled. It's not a major cause, but it's something that should be taken into consideration. A lot of upheaval, a lot of inconsistency, especially early in the season when the weather was topsy-turvy. And we already had 2 byes. But going on to our all-conference players.
Okay, that's a fair point. So the all-SWAC team was announced, and we had 7 rattlers selected to the all-SWAC team. The first team selections were Daniel Richardson, quarterback, who had 7% completion, 2,662 yards, and 23 touchdowns. And then 2 of his offensive linemen were first team selection, and Charles Davis and Ashton Grable, both who will be coming back next year, as long as we don't lose them in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Our second team selection was Jamari Gassett, who had 52 receptions for 737 yards and 7 touchdowns. Tight end Kobe Gross, who had 24 catches for 257 yards and 3 scores. And on defense, we had James Ash, who registered 44 tackles and 2.5 sacks, and Kendall Bowler, who contributed 33 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and an interception. So my thoughts, what do you think about the Rattlers who were selected and where they were selected? And then we're going to talk about the all-SWAC offensive player of the year. What's your thought? Did the right person win it? Drew, you go first.
I'm up in the air on this. I know how these processes go with these things. I'm at the it is what it is portion of this. You said one of Gibbons,
huh?
Who won Player of the Year again?
Mulligan.
For a defensive player to win it.
You talking about the defensive player of the year and Gibbons from Southern?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, Mulligan did what he did. We knew he was the Heisman candidate coming into the season, coming from Jackson. And shout out to Travis Jerome for just putting it out there, putting it into the Twitterverse and everything. But honestly, who outperformed him this year? Can you really think of something? I mean, yeah, Richardson has an argument, but I hate to keep bringing this up. You lost to Valley. You lost to Valley. It's hard for you to get a vote for somebody when you lose to Valley. So it is. I'm happy with it. I think it was a fair representation, just like anybody else. You always wish that you could put more people on first team, second team. Something that everybody doesn't know: the number of slots that you could vote for first team and second team are always limited on the team. Like you may only be able to nominate 2 running backs or 2 receivers or 3 offensive linemen. So that's why you, no matter how dominant the line is, you never see it, the whole offensive line, the defensive line on that. So I'm cool with it. There's nothing.
Any obvious snubs?
The question is, for every snub, who you going? If you add somebody in, who you gonna take out?
Mm-hmm.
While there may be snubs, I don't think there's anybody who needs to be taken off to be replaced by a snub, if that makes sense.
No, it was. I'm gonna say what you ain't saying, Drew. It was a very mediocre, like year in the SWAC from a stat standpoint.
The fact that a quarterback didn't win Player of the Year should tell you that.
Right. So everybody had at least 3 losses in conference outside of the champion.
The 2 champions.
Yeah. So there it is. I mean, and the fact that Southern can go 7-1 with essentially no offense for most of the year, that's an indictment on the West, frankly. But yeah, so I agree with you. I can live with I can live with the decisions that were made. I don't see any obvious snubs or debate like it was last year anyway. What about you, Marcus? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I mean, typically the offensive player of the year is usually the best player, more often than not a quarterback, on the team that is going into the title game. Last year was Musa. This year's Irv Mulligan. It's not that he didn't deserve it. So I don't think there's any shade that goes there. I mean, Daniel Richardson plays hard out, stats, it's off the charts. But once again, to a certain degree, what type of thought process would it be if the second place team, arguably, second or third place and lost to the championship team had the MVP or the most valuable offensive player? So I don't have any issue with Irv Mulligan. I mean, he more than deserved it. He was the engine that drove the bus for Jackson State, and they're undefeated in conference, and they're going to the title game.
Hey, speaking of the title game, any predictions?
I'll say that for later, but we'll have to see.
That's
now,
about Odie.
Now, one thing I am pleased about is Charles Davis making first team, because typically going into the season, he probably wasn't one of the names that you thought about. Even from FAMU, you would have thought Jalen Goss, you would have thought TJ Lee. There's some other folks you might have thought about on the offensive line that had a chance at being all conference, much less, first team. But Charles Davis, that just goes to show the depth and the talent and the development that's going on, that someone who may not have been the household name at the beginning of the season was voted by his peers as a first team all conference offensive lineman. And as far as the second team, I think that's pretty much well deserved. And when I first saw the list, I know there may have been some folks, I didn't see anything, but I was just kind of speculating, some folks who felt like that Jamari Gassett maybe should have made first team, and you could have argued, about I think the injury, but also if you look at the 2 wide receivers who made first team from the SWAC, is the young man from
Valley,
from PB, and the young man from Valley, and it's
right.
like, how can you argue with that? I mean, 2 of the teams that have been struggling for competitiveness in the SWAC, and they have receivers that are just off the charts.
To put that.
and they both went over 1,000 yards.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what you would have had to have. You have to, in order to get to those positions, you have to put up numbers that are so far off the chart that I cannot ignore you. I cannot ignore your performance.
Right.
And unfortunately for FAMU, we did not have anybody who had numbers that were that far off the chart. They may have numbers, they may have been more catches or more rushes or something along that line, a couple of more tackles. But somebody would have had to have an Isaiah Land type season where they got the 19 and a half sacks in order to get those Player of the Year type awards. We did not have that type of player this year. We had a bunch of good to greats. We didn't have any dominance this year like we have gotten so used to in the past 2 to 3 years.
Excellent point. Good point. And with that, I believe our guest is now in the room, and we're going to go ahead and bring him on. There's no other than
Happy Founders Day, my brother.
That's right. He's representing. And soon to be FAMU alumni, graduate also. And word is that he's in the transfer report also. What's up, Gerald Thomas, FAMU sports beat writer for the Tallahassee Democrat? How you doing, Gerald?
You're on mute, Gerald.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Gerald. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Always happy to be here. Always happy to be on the show and talk about some FAMU sports. So I appreciate the invite.
All right. I don't know if you caught the first part of our discussion earlier, but what is your thoughts on the season now that it's concluded for football? What's some things that stick out for you?
I don't know. This season, it was a lot to unpack this year. Of course, me personally, I had the ceiling at 10-2, the floor at 8-4, and obviously, those records were underperformed. But I say, 7-5, top for number 2 in the SWAC East. It's not the season. It's not the season that you want. It's not the season that FAMU fans are accustomed to, just because. I mean, it's been so much success over the past few years that, these type of seasons are uncharacteristic, but I feel like it could have been worse. Yes, that Valley loss is going to stick for a very long time. That's a loss that's always going to just be there. Like, when you look at that 5 years later, you're going to be like, how did that even happen? You know what I mean? But it shows that the program still has the ways to go and the ways to grow under Coach Cozy. And I'm excited to see what the team is going to look like next season, with Cozy getting a full off season, a full recruiting period, and all the things that you need to be successful. So not a season that you want, but I think this season it has a chance to either be the reason for the comeback, or it can be the start of something, bad. So, but I think I urge towards more towards it could be the start of something good.
Well, Gerald, tell me what was your favorite moment or moments of the season?
You hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so favorite moment of the season is so much I would say my favorite moments, I can think of two. I can think of the back and forth with the kick returns at homecoming. That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite moments of the season. Because I really wanted them to keep going back and forth, but Texas Southern decided to kick the ball away and kick it out of bounds, whatever they did to end the little back and forth. But I wanted to see it go back, because by that time the game was already decided. At that point you're just having fun. But that was one of my favorite moments. And the classic, the weeks leading up to the classic, I was telling her, I said the classic, it's a toss-up this year. Like, it's not a guaranteed dub this year. Like, and to see the classic actually have one of those nail-biter type of games, it was good. And just the whole, all the storylines that went around the classic, with FAMU coming off of 2 straight losses, and all the chatter is starting up, and for FAMU and led by Cozy to go out there and win that game and kind of quiet everything down a little bit. So I think the Classic left it for me personally, being a reporter, it left a lot of storylines open, and that was something I kind of talked about when the Classic was over, how winning that game kind of quiets down all the noise a little bit, moving forward for that last game of the season.
All right, that's that. I think those are two great moments. Drew, you got a question for G?
Speaking of storylines, Gerald, what is the one storyline that stuck out for you from the season on something that you either posted or wrote there for the Democrat that you really like? That I did that stuff when I put that that story together, or having the research that went into it. What was that one storyline related to the football season?
That's easy. The first story I did of the season when I featured Cozy about how he's coming in with high expectations as a first-year head coach. I dug deep for it. I interviewed Cozy. He didn't know I was interviewing him for that story, so I'll just throw out, during training camp, I just throw out random questions to him, and learn some things. I talked to Billy Roll. I talked to Coach Simmons. And I talked to more people. Coach Andre Pope, the defensive backs coach, Cozy actually coached him in college, so I talked to him. And he was an unplanned guest on the story just because me and him were just talking. He was like, "Oh yeah, that was my coach when I was in college." And a few more people. I hate that I'm forgetting people, but it was a few more people too. It was the first one of the year, and it was my favorite one of the year. Coming in with the high expectations and the amount of research I had to do. I got some old photos of Cozy, some old stories of Cozy, and all those type of things. So that was my favorite one, and it took actually a very long time to do it. It took me a few weeks to write that story, and I think that story ended up being about 2,300 words, maybe 25. So it took me a few weeks to do it, and those are my favorite type of stories to do, where you can just go and just dig deep and tell a story. Kind of, I guess you call it long form journalism. So.
All right. Now, football season is over with for us. Let's talk about the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Marcus is going to get back in on football, but I got to ask about the transition while I got the mic. Volleyball, basketball, men's and women, and this little thing called Band of the Year Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the transition for you and how you cover this and still keep us interested in. I follow you. How do you keep? Why do I even follow you? I don't mean it to be facetious, but how do you keep us going to keep us coming back? Talk about this transition to make sure that people still follow you and follow FAMU Athletics as we make this transition out of football.
Yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it gets tough. It gets tough to think of stories, with it not being in season anymore, because when you're in season, the stories kind of write themselves because you have a game to prepare for, and you kind of have this type of this routine that you go through every week with going to the practices and doing the press conferences and doing the game previews and doing the game features and doing the game recaps and doing the post game columns and all those type of things. But it's mainly off of what's current. So this week it was early signing day, and it was pretty quiet. I knew it was gonna be a quiet day. But you still had some guys that's already committed, so just writing some short bios on them, and also just trying to find different type of storylines, different type of features that'll be nice. And really, once recruiting season pick up, that's when you kind of get to know some of the new guys that's coming to the team. So, recruiting hasn't warmed up yet for FAMU. I know they waiting for that portal to open on Monday. So, interested to see who they grab out of there, because I know as soon as that portal open, I don't know if it opened at 12 a.m., 11:59 or what, but I know soon as that thing open, them offers gonna go flying. So yeah, it's just about knowing what's current and knowing what people, are interested in.
All right, go ahead, Marcus.
Hey, Joe, I want to ask you on your reflections on the season, not necessarily the on the field play, but maybe a little bit of it. But what is your perspective of how the team and the coaches manage the expectations coming off a championship. What differences did you see, and how did it evolve over the course of the season in terms of your perspective on how the team is performing, how they're doing, and how they're handling what was going on?
I mean, it was big expectations to shoulder coming off of a season like that 2023 year was, just because of that, the magnitude of the team that you had, and seeing Coach Simmons finally do it and all those type of things. So one thing that still sticks with me on how they managed it was, I was interviewing Kelvin Dean. I think this was during training camp, and I think I might have said this on this show. He said last year team got a ring. We ain't got no ring. You know what I mean? And that's the guy saying that won the MVP of the Celebration Bowl, saying that. So he was treating it as if he never won. He want to get one for the 2024 team. And and I think those guys truly believe that they could have went back to the Celebration Bowl, even when the SWAC rankings came out and the preseason SWAC rankings came out, and they put them at number 2. Guys they wasn't fans of that. A lot of guys felt like they should have been preseason all SWAC. So they had all of the motivating factors, but they also had to know that a lot of teams were going to put up their best effort against FAMU, and that Jackson State game, that was a winnable game. And shoot, they could have still had it. FAMU still could have been in it, and then I'm not gonna lie. Once the Prairie View loss happened, things kind of dimmed a little bit. I think guys saw that it was still a chance statistically and mathematically, but let's be real here. It wasn't gonna happen. And then that carried over to the Valley game. And from there forward, it just kind of dipped out. But I think guys picked back up once they learned about the Classic and how important that game is, because Daniel Richardson, he told me, he said this is our Super Bowl. The Classic is our Super Bowl, so we got to go out there and win that thing. So I mean, I think a lot of guys looked at it. Of course, there's gonna be guys that's disappointed in the season, but some of those guys look at it as a glass half full type of thing. Like, okay, we didn't get back to Atlanta this year, but we won the Classic, and that's our Celebration Bowl this year. So.
Okay, and thank you.
Okay.
So, Jerry, you had a very good article talking about now that the season is closed, kind of what our personnel, taking inventory of who returning and where some of our needs might be. And so I want you to kind of talk about, some of the things, top 2 or 3 things in terms of projecting for the off season going into next year.
Do it. Team need. You want the team needs quarterback. Let me think. Cause I mean, this team, they're losing a lot of guys, but they return a lot. I say DB, because Kendall Bowler and Deco Wilson, those are big losses. And let me think of the third. I think wide receiver is pretty settled. And looking at offensive line, I thought offensive line was gonna lose a lot, but they're losing TJ Lee, who's a compound player, but I think they'll be fine, and Jalen Goss too. So I'd say quarterback is number 1, defensive back, and man, I'm stuck between D-line and linebacker, so I just put both of them there. Because I mean, linebacker, you got Navron Jenkins coming back in. We saw what type of year he had this year. But FAMU only used 2 linebackers, and a lot of those guys are returning. But I know they're going to be out there looking to see if they can bring somebody in. A guy that I'm excited about for next year is Brian Norris, who transferred from USF. I'm looking at Steve Campbell comment, but Brian Norris from USF got injured during training camp because he wasn't one of those typical FBS guys that came to FAMU and not playing, like never played. He actually got some run at USL and got injured during training camp. So I'm excited to see him and see if they're gonna mix him and Navron Jenkins in the linebacker room. So I guess I'll say defensive line. I'll put defensive line at that number 3 spot, or number 2 or 3. But yeah, got to find a quarterback though.
Okay, and a follow up to that, real quick, Marcus. And then I let you get in. What are some players or a player or two that you're looking forward to making that step from? We don't know who he is, or he didn't get opportunity because we red shirt, injury, or whatever. Who's gonna be, that guy who stepped in the stardom? You think this year that's already on this team?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say Brian Norris for the linebackers. Like that was the guy that I was excited to see. Like, when I came to practice and I saw him in the boot, I was like, dang, like, I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I was excited to see him play on that defense. But I just saw somebody say Thad Franklin. I was gonna say him too. I mean, that's a guy that if you ain't know him before, you know him now. He can be an all SWAC type of running back next year. If he playing like he was playing them last few weeks of the season, just being a dynamic. We saw how he got to the end zone against Alabama and them taking them defenders with him. So I can see him. Quan Lee. I'm excited about Quan Lee, wide receiver. He's a dog. I mean, he was a dog in high school, and coming to FAMU, he got his opportunities. He was around. He was behind Maury, Jamal Gassett. But you saw the flash. You saw the flash, and I think he's going to be the number one guy next year, regardless of who's playing that quarterback position.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Marcus.
Actually, Joe, you answered one. Or actually, Kelvin, you asked the question. I was going to throw a name out there, and I saw he played a little bit, and I don't know if it was due to injury or just opportunity, but he played against Alabama A&M, and that's Justin Bostic. He was a 3-star coming out of was it Palm Beach Central? I think it was Palm Beach Central, the Palm Beach Central Lakes. And I'm glad he got some playing time. He's someone I would keep an eye on, maybe. We'll have to see. So he's been with Colsey in the defensive backfield for 2 years. So hopefully he'll continue to develop and get a shot and not look, try to start to look elsewhere. But the question I wanted to ask, you mentioned that we only use 2 linebackers, and we talked a little bit earlier. Drew did, and I alluded at it, and even Kelvin, that Colsey needs to make his team. The 4-2-5 was a scheme that Willie Simmons had. Do you think Coach Colsey might move away from that and do something a little different as a part of the reshaping it into his mold?
I mean, he could. I mean, I guess it depends on what Patterson wants to do. I guess he's a defensive coordinator. I know Colsey probably have more hands on the defense and the offense with him being a defensive guy. But also it may depend on who they're playing against. They put all them DBs on the field, and this year DB led the team in tackles, which is, I mean, it's good for him statistic wise, but it's not necessarily a good thing when you got a DB leading you in tackles. So that means they breaking through the first and second line of defense. So I mean, it depends on what kind of dynamic they want to bring. I know they usually like to have 2 linebackers that can get out and run, but I mean, if you can bring 3 linebackers that can get out and run, maybe you can bring a middle linebacker and have the 2 on the outside, being able to get out and run. So I think it just depends. The main thing I say is just they got to know how to stop that run game, because you got ran all over this year against teams, man. So and that's something that's very uncharacteristic of the defense. So yeah. So I guess we just got to wait and see what they decide to do with the defensive scheme. Where they want to go a 4-2-5 or 3-5 or 4-3 or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. And also, I guess the quick follow-up, I think Andre Powell got hurt in the first game, I think Norfolk State game. Have you heard anything about his return or how he's progressing from injury?
I haven't heard anything about. I'm pretty sure he'll be back next year. I think he got hurt against Miami. I think.
Maybe it was Miami.
Yeah, I think it was Miami. But I think he'll be back. He wasn't part of the senior day list, so usually if they ain't part of the senior day list, I mean, they're probably coming back. So So yeah, that's a guy though. I like seeing. I like what I saw from him last year. I like seeing him play too.
All right, from the track, from the chat, EA is asking, do we have any? No, that's Larry Sachi who's asking, do we have anyone left to kick? Were both kickers seniors this year? Not the ones that are in the portal, but the ones who finished the season. I know Gillis is. He's a senior, right?
Gillis graduated.
Gunnar Trout's a true freshman.
Yeah, Gunnar Trout is a freshman, so he should be back. And Will Hoyt and Smith are both in the portal, so I'm pretty sure they're going to get somebody kicked out the portal. That's the answer to everything. Portal. You know what I mean? So I mean, place kicking, I don't think it's nobody left. But punting, they still got Gunnar Trout.
They got a transfer from Stetson last year. Andrew
Tisher.
Yeah, Tisher. Yeah.
Andrew Tisher, yeah. So I mean, technically, yeah, but I'm pretty sure they'll. I mean, you probably want to have two of them, just in case.
At least.
I mean, just a few years ago, you had Chris Fadul get injured, and Romo Martinez was punting the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Good point. Drew, what you got? What you got for Gerald, Drew?
I'm trying to think because y'all are really about covered it.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, we knew that question was coming.
I was just getting ready to say that, J Mac. Take that down. J Mac stole my question. Take that down.
Up in arms since the Prairie View game. Actually, since the Jackson State game.
Obviously, we saw the change midseason on offense. So, what type of changes, I guess, do you anticipate happening? And I don't need you to necessarily name people because I don't want you to put that out there, but just style and type of people that we're gonna be looking for. Will the coaching staff get older? Will the coaching staff get younger? More experience, those type things, because I definitely don't want you to put anybody out there who you may know internally may be on the chopping block.
Yeah, y'all ask me stuff that's gonna get my credentials taken away. That's from Bragg. Y'all gonna have they're gonna have my picture up next.
That's why I'm trying to put it delicately so that you can throw some stuff out without getting specific, because I definitely don't want you to get specific. But
I mean, like you said, I definitely think I definitely think the offensive change was made mid-season. I know they didn't change coordinators, they changed play callers. But I think I can see Burris being the offensive coordinator moving forward. And as far as it's another position out there, I ain't gonna say it though. I can't say it. Y'all ain't about to get me bad.
No, we don't want to put.
But I mean, it's people. Y'all know. It's another position out there that people it's been a lot of questions about.
From a statistical standpoint, I'll save you, Gerald. From a statistical standpoint and on-field performance, there have been challenges as it relates to the performance of the special teams, giving up a lot of yards, and initially the run defense.
Right.
So based on that, those are the ones that are swirling around in terms of whatever changes Coach Colsey decides to go in.
Let me ask that question in this manner. Do you expect any of our coaches to get opportunities with other staffs? No, and the reason I'm saying that because
that's a nice way of asking.
When you perform well, people start coming and pluck you away. You understand what I'm saying? So do we have those type of coaches on our current coaching staff that are possibly that you're hearing rumor mills about them possibly being plucked at other institutions? Once again, without giving names and positions, but are you hearing those kind of grumblings out there that people are being looked at other places?
I personally haven't heard anything, but I mean, just like how players be in the portal, coaches be in the portal too. You know what I mean? And that's not me. That's not me. You know, hinting at anything, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if guys get opportunities elsewhere. I mean, some people can see, you know, the writing on the wall and go elsewhere to get a fresh start. You know, and some people can go to get another opportunity that they may see as a, you know, advance them in their career. So, I mean, I mean, you'll see. You probably. I mean, I feel like FAMU loses coaches every year.
No,
so I mean, it probably be somebody out there that have been on, you know, left and got a different job. And, you know,
yeah, we lost our head coach.
You said what now?
I said, hell, we lost our head coach last year. So
yeah, lost a head coach, and so he might be getting another head coaching job from what I've been seeing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you have coaches leave every year, so I mean, you probably have one or two that don't return next year for leaving for another job.
Mm-hmm. No, Joe, let me ask this, and it's kind of a tie-in with the question that Drew just asked. From what you've seen from Coach Colsey, well, Coach Simmons, even though there's a previous regime, but there are a lot of coaches who went on to other positions, and almost like a coaching tree. He helped develop them; they performed well. Do you see that same type of development aura looking at how things went, at least in year one under Coach Colsey, in terms of developing coaches? And I know performance this year in terms of special teams, defense, and just about every core group, there were some complaints from the fans about the performance, either game specific or throughout the year. But do you see that type of mentoring, coaching, get out on your own type aura from Coach Colsey that we may have seen come to fruition under Coach Simmons?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need. You need that as a head coach, and that's something that me and Coach Simmons actually talked about a few months ago. Actually, when we just did a story like how a lot of his coaches move on and get bigger jobs. I mean, sure, you got Devin Richards at Colorado getting ready to play a bowl game on that staff, and you got Chili Davis in the NFL now with the Los Angeles Rams, and so so that's something that's real big in head coaching, and I think that's something that Colsey can do. I mean, Colsey has been coaching about as long as I've been born. You know what I mean? And I think also that may play into, because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he should have made the play calling change, weeks ago." But it probably you smile like you on the portal. Yeah, so sorry. But anyway, man, let me know what people put in the comments. But yeah. I mean, I think that might have played a factor into why the play calling change was I guess I don't want to say delayed, but why it was made with the last two games of the season, because maybe coach didn't want to put Coach Henry out on Front Street like that and wanted to see if things get better. I'm pretty sure it's conversations that he had before he made that change. So. But I can see Henry Burris, being one of those coaches that come out the Colsey coaching tree, especially if he get that offensive coordinator job and perform well, and sure, he might be a head coach someday, somewhere. Because I ain't putting nothing out there, but I mean, he probably not trying to be a quarterback's coach at FAMU forever. So, so I can see that coming out of there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Gerald. Before we let you get out of here, I got two different questions. I want you to save your graduation. I want to hear what you got planned when you walk and all that stuff. So say that for last. But my last question to you, get away from football. I saw you at the basketball game, I believe, the men's game. I know you just really starting to focus in on that, and we've had some money games. But kind of give me your thoughts, both on the men's and women's basketball team thus far.
Yeah, I think I've only seen one game apiece from them, and I'm liking what I see. I mean, the Howard FAMU women's game, with that being that season opener, big season opener, and a big test for for Coach Gordon to go out there and put her team against one of the best teams in HBCU women's basketball. And they didn't come up with the video. They think the final score was 78-66, but it is a lot of improvement from what you've seen the last few years. And you could see Coach Gordon got her she got her brand of players on the team now, and I think. I think as years go, I think next year will be even better for them because now it's like, all right, I done had 2 years of recruiting, because Coach Gordon really only had one recruiting cycle because she got hired so late. What that was last summer, 2023. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see about the SWAC games for them, and then men's basketball, man, they play an exciting brand of basketball, and this ain't no shade to nobody, but it was something that we didn't see. It was something that I wasn't accustomed to these last few years. You know what I mean? But so
yes,
yeah,
I
so
do.
men's basketball, going out there seeing them squeak out a win against Presbyterian and get that first D1 win. It was good to see. They got some hoopers on their team. They got Milton Matthews and Hendricks and I not seeing Lil Shaq go out there and put up some points out there too. Had a little quiet night last night, but still though, I think they got a pretty deep team. And didn't they get voted like number 11 or something like that in the SWAC in the preseason?
That sounds about right.
The men's team, yeah.
Yeah, whoever they crazy for putting them at number 11, but but yeah, I don't want the SWAC to take my credentials, but I'm just saying. I respectfully disagree with that number 11 ranking, but I'm excited to see when January start up and them SWAC games start and see how they really match up against a level of talent.
Right. Hey, before you answer Kelvin's last question, any predictions on volleyball this weekend? Nebraska.
Yeah, volleyball. I see the name of the show is beating them like it's 2004. So maybe they'll beat them like it's 2004. I mean, I feel like 20 years. This FAMU team. They nice. Like I'm not about to sit right here and lie like I'm knowledgeable about volleyball, all the way. But seeing how they go 27-6, like it'll be cool to see them go out there and pull off an upset. I mean, they played through a lot of circumstances after go up north. And all those type of things. Because then Georgia Tech and schools down here had little regionals and they got to go up north. But if they can go out there and defy the odds and pull off that upset, that'll be big for the program because the last tournament win was at 2003, I believe. So interesting to see how that game turned out because man, if they go out there and win, man, like that's like winning the national championship. FAMU go out there and beat the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
And last one before you get to your graduation.
Yeah.
Can the 100 defeat the Legion in the Battle of the Bay?
That's the blue and gold.
Is the
blue and gold
the B&G machine? Yeah.
Y'all talking about the Battle of the Bands?
Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
I never heard A&T band. Because we never had no. FAMU was done playing A&T by the time I came along, but I like what I hear from the 100. They sounded good last week with the abbreviated players that they did have. So if they believe it, they can achieve it.
I like it. All right, Gerald. So talk about when you graduate and what's the plans, man.
Yeah, man. I actually just went and picked up my cap and gown today. Out the FAMU bookstore, so it's getting real. I got 10 days to graduation. December 14th at 9 a.m. If you listen to this or hearing this, you are invited. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know 9 a.m. is pretty early. Because I saw 9 a.m. was like, dang, why they couldn't do it at 10 or 11 or something like that? But I'll be up bright and early at 9 a.m. Get my Master of Science in Sport Management from FAMU. It's been a grind this last few years. Not these last few years, but this last year. Balancing working full time and being a full time student. But I couldn't make no excuses. Couldn't complain. Went out there and did it, and now I finally get to enjoy the fruits of my labor. My family be in town, and we ready to celebrate. I got asked about graduation just about every day I was back home last week during Thanksgiving. So everybody excited. Everybody very excited, and I'm excited too. I'm excited to walk across that stage. I'm excited to get that piece of paper in my hand, and you know, just be able to celebrate the accomplishment. I don't know if I'm going back to school after this though, and I said I wasn't going back after I graduated with my bachelor's. So I'm just ready, man. I'm ready to walk across that stage, man. It's been a long time coming, and I'm thankful for everything, every opportunity that I've gotten. I'm thankful for, and it's gonna be an emotional time, but it's gonna be a very good time too. So I'm ready. December 14th, 9 a.m.
If you go back
at the Lawson Center. Yeah.
If you go back, do it while you're young. Do it while you don't have no kids.
Right.
It's a hell of a lot easier.
Well, congratulations, Gerald, man. I'm very proud of you, man. Thank you for all you do in covering FAMU athletics, man. And I'm glad that you'll be a fellow alumni in 10 days officially, man. And best wishes, man. And I think I'm gonna be in town. But if I'm in town, I'm definitely gonna check you out, brother.
Some of us got a celebration ball. I'll be there with you in spirit, though.
Go. Yeah. Lucky you. You get to work the celebration bowl this year.
All right, Drew. I know you're gonna leave us after this segment. You gotta go. We appreciate you stepping in for Brian and Gerald. Tell everybody where they can find you at before we get out of here.
Yeah, man. All my stuff go on Twitter. I still got Twitter. People don't believe. Hold on. Let me show y'all. I still my thing still say Twitter. Oh, let me show y'all. See, my thing still say Twitter, right? You see my phone a little cracked, but yeah, it still say Twitter. You know what I'm saying? But no,
update, man.
Oh no, I know when it turned to X, I never updated it. Like my Twitter still look old and all that. But anyway, you know, my Twitter is 3PG, the number 3, the letter P, the letter E, the letter A, the letter T, the letter G, the letter E, the letter E. That's where I put all my work at, all my stories that I write for the Tallahassee Democrat on FAMU. And if you want to, you know, if you don't want to go on my Twitter page, you know what I mean, you don't want to look at me. Well, you got to look at me on the Tallahassee Democrat website anyway, so you might as well go on my Twitter. But if you want to go straight to the website, it's rattlernews.com, and it'll take you straight to the Tallahassee Democrat FAMU Sports section. So that's where you can find me. And you know, we're in the off season now, so we can, we'll be taking them stories as they come. You know, the portal open up next week, so I anticipate, you know, it being a very busy week next week up until when it's time to graduate. You know, I ain't worried about no portal during graduation weekend, but yeah, so that's where you can find me and follow my work, and I appreciate all the support that I get. I actually need to respond to some people that was telling me they had enjoyed the story I did with the roster intel. So I appreciate all the support, and I'm just gonna keep this thing going. Ain't nothing stopping around here. As y'all see, I was in school the last year and a half. And you know, that coverage kept on coming the same way it did before I enrolled back in school. So it's gonna keep on rolling from now, and I'm just ready to get to it, man. So appreciate everybody, appreciate the support, and you know, hit me up, man. You know, I haven't got no Twitter message from nobody in a little minute. So you know, y'all can, you know, send me a little bit of fan mail sometime, a little bit, and you know, talk trash or whatever, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? I'll respond as they come. But yeah, man, that's me on Twitter. And that's how you can find me on Tallahassee Democrat, and you know, just be on the lookout for some more coverage as recruiting season is getting ready to start up.
All right, Rattler Nation, y'all make sure y'all show my man G some love, man, on social media, man, and show him some love too. You know, with his graduation pending. You know, it's Christmas time, it's giving time. Give the brother a little something. All right, Drew. Appreciate you, Gerald. Appreciate you. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back on the O&G StrikeZone.
HBCU football fans, a champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th. MEAC champions, SWAC champions, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Band of the Year returns to Atlanta on December 13th. 4 marching bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th for event and ticket information.
All right, we joined by behind the scenes the CEO, Roy. What's going on, Roy? Thank you for joining and stepping in.
What's going on, fellas?
All right, nothing much. Now, what we want to go right now is talk about some champions. We kind of teased it a little bit in with a segment with Gerald, but we got volleyball Friday at 8 p.m. They play Nebraska. Nebraska is the #1 seed. Very tall task because Nebraska is a program legend in volleyball. Every year they look like they're in the top 4, and they're a school that has had just what was it 2 years ago they had the largest crowd in a women's sporting event in history because they had a volleyball match at their football stadium.
Oh wow!
And sold it out. So it's gonna be a tall order, but our ladies, man, we're an experienced team. We're a deep team. We've played some good competition. So I know coach has got a plan for it, and he's gonna, they're gonna give it an old Mission College try. But it is a tall order. But I really wish that more teams in our region, in the southern region, had done better so they could have hosted. Part of the reason they're going to the Midwest is because really, the schools that would have hosted, you have to be top 16 pretty much to be a host school. And unfortunately in volleyball this year, the teams that traditionally host in the South, like Florida, Georgia Tech, Florida State, they just weren't quite in our top 16. They had some losses. So therefore, without having nobody in the region, they're going to have to send somebody out with Midwest, West, and so forth. And so it's us. So, but good luck to Coach Gokon and the ladies, and we have confidence, and we with you. I'm gonna try to find a way to get on ESPN Plus while I'm at the basketball game, because men basketball also plays Friday night at pretty much at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but you got any thoughts on that, Marcus, with the volleyball?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task. I mean, because like you said, Nebraska is a traditional power. They're I think the #2 ranked team in the country in the latest poll. They only have 2 losses all season. And I think they're probably the other top 10 or top 20 volleyball programs. And we're going into a hostile environment way away from home. And I think we're down at least 1 player, maybe 2. Because I know it looked like one player went down in the tournament. She had an ankle injury. I think she had a boot on. She didn't play in the championship game. But I don't know if she's recovered or how severe injury it was. And we had our setter actually Like the coach said, she tore MCL during the season. So we're down 2 quality players going against arguably the toughest competition, but they played well. We're on a winning streak. We swept through the conference, and we have some good players. So I'm anxious to see how things turn out and how things turn out against a different opponent. We've always played Florida. It seems like we always play Florida in the tournament. We go against another team, and Coach Gokhan, I have them ready to play.
All right. Roy, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually I do, man. And I'm kind of a little bit on the other side of what you guys seem to be doing. I honestly think they don't have anything to lose. This is one of those you're playing with house money. We know we're a quality team. That's never been the question. And so, it's like, listen, they can go in there, be loose. There's the expectation for them is just to play your best. And I'm hoping that's what, Coach Gokhan, that's how he's putting it. He said, you play your best volleyball, let them play their best volleyball and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, listen, I've seen volleyball matches that can turn. You talk about momentum in a sport. Momentum is a killer in volleyball because you get behind yourself sometimes, and that's a two-edged sword for us because, they have to make sure that if we do get down, they've got to be able to, keep their heads in there. But I believe that we can do it. I believe the coach has those ladies fired up and understanding, hey, like I said, we went through the SWAC, so we know we real good. We were competitive in some of those other matches that we had against some of those outside teams. Mm-hmm. So, didn't we beat somebody Power 5 this year?
We did not.
No, okay. But I know we were competitive in a lot of those, so that's what it is, man. Hey, let's go in. I'm always going to be rooting for the Rattlers, as they say.
Absolutely,
we shock the world.
Absolutely, and I think the key is to get off to a good start. It's going to be a sellout. They sell out all their home volleyball games, so it's going to be a sellout. But if they get off to a good start and find a way to still set one, then it gets interesting. So hopefully they'll get off to a good start. Drew, I see you jump back and joining us, man. So get in on this volleyball talk.
I was about to log off, and then I heard y'all get into this volleyball. I'm like, I gotta get a little bit of piece of this before I.
Go ahead. What you got?
Okay, let's think about something. We had last year's SWAC Player of the Year on the bench. That being Jayla Rose. Mm-hmm. What a player to have when one of your rotation players go down with an injury. Mm-hmm. Then last year's SWAC Player of the Year sitting on the bench, ready to go and perform in those that she came in and got back into the rotation. Mm-hmm. One of Coach Gokhan's biggest problems this year was he had too many hitters at the start of the season, and somebody had to sit. Now it don't look like he's got too many hitters with injuries and natural articulation. One person that I think is going to be key, having seen FAMU play multiple times this year, is going to be Isis Williams. We already know what she's done with her over her career with total number of blocks. Right. So she's going to have to play big because let's be real, Nebraska is big. They've got players that's going to make Isis look like she's a center. Right. So can she step up? And we all know who we trying to get the ball to. We're trying to get it to Watts. So can we set Watts up in order to do what we need to do? Farah Farouk, another middle blocker. Between her and Isis, they're gonna have to play big over there in the middle. But Brooklyn Thomas, another name that you're gonna have to watch out for and see what she can do. And will this be too big of a stage for our freshman setter who's had to step up big during this time, that being Mackenzie Taylor. Would this be too big of a stage? In volleyball, your quarterback is your setter. So can our setters do what they need to do in Hatch and Taylor? So those are just a few keys that we need to. We know they're gonna come out hot and heavy. We know Nebraska's gonna come out hot and heavy. But with a senior laden team, I think they can take that punch. We may drop that first set, but if we drop that first set 25-22 or something along those lines, I think unlike you, Kelvin, who said we got to get that first set, I think set number 2 is going to be the key set to show them Cornhuskers that we're going to be here and we're going to compete. But we've got to steal one of those first 2 sets, and then after that, if we can get it to go 4 or 5, I like our chances to be able to pull the mild upset.
So, did you say minor upset? You did not say minor or mild upset.
Mild.
I said mild.
Okay, dude, that is not a mild upset. First off,
no, it would not be.
Now, the other thing though that I wanted to jump in on that and say, because Tim made the thing, he said he's concerned about Nebraska's height in the front court. But see, that's one of the beauties about volleyball. And with us having great setters and great hitters, what they have to do is play more to the middle of the court and don't try to avoid the net play as much as possible. Because you're right. When you got 5'10", 6'1", 6'3" versus 6'5", 6'4", 6'7", that makes a difference at the net. But if your setters are doing what they need to do in the mid-court, so you can keep your hitters able to maneuver where they're going with the ball and do some fakes and things, but just don't. We've got to avoid playing the net. If we let them keep us at the net, we're going to be in trouble.
I would throw another point out, Roy, and that's a good point that you bring up. One thing that I have seen that has, I won't say plagued FAMU, but it concerned me. But against SWAC competition, FAMU has been able to overcome it. Is serve errors. You can't score in volleyball unless you can serve the doggone ball. It's just that simple. We cannot afford to be serving the ball out of bounds. It is that simple. We have got to get our serves in to even give us a chance. But when we get those serves in, you can't get those serves in the middle of the court, because if those serves in or in the middle of the court, that's going to let them set up their offense to do what they need to do. Those serves need to be in deep left, deep right corners, and need to be hard and hot, so that their offense is. Because if you can get a team such as Nebraska to play on one side of the court or the other, so that you can better position your defense, you've got a chance. But if they're able to consistently get the ball in the middle of the court, where when their setter gets the ball, you don't know whether their setter is going left or right or even back row attack, that's what's going to give FAMU nightmares. And the other thing, when they do go up, like Roy said, compared to Nebraska, we've got tall hitters in the SWAC. We don't have tall hitters in the Big Ten. So when they do go up, we have got to cover the attacker. And if you understand volleyball lingo, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say we have got to make sure that everybody covers the attacker. And if you get a block back, that it's not block back off somebody's head or block back to the ground for a point.
Putting the bug bow on the volleyball talk, essentially, everybody has made good points. It's going to come down to 3 things, frankly. All right, so thing 2 and 3 for me is aces. We got to have some aces with our serve, and we got to minimize errors. All right, we got to play a clean game. Then number 1, I think, who was it? Tim Young, I think, is exactly right. Because of their height advantage at the net, I think we have to be able. We're not going to be able to block through the kill. We were not going to have kills through the net, through their blocks. So we're going to have to move the ball from side to side, and we got to hope when we're going for the kills, we're hitting off the side of their heads because they're going to get up there and that they go out of bounds. Right? That's how our kills going to look. We ain't going to get a lot of clean kills to the floor.
Yeah. Something else, and kind of going along with your point, Kelvin. I know we're trying to close this segment out. I wonder if FAMU will attempt to push the ball instead of attacking the ball. And for those who don't know what the push is, that's when basically a hard two-hand set to the opposite court instead of trying to go to the kill. So like you say, Kelvin, to be able to move the ball and to better control the ball and get around those big, tall blockers and attackers that they have. Because if you can push the ball, you can control it a lot better and move the ball and get the ball to the ground faster. So, you know, I'm a former volleyball coach, so that's why.
I didn't. You about to say something?
I didn't even teach spiking when I coached high school. We pushed the ball all over the place.
Marcus, were you about to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I did want to jump.
I do know that. Well, Nebraska, of course, they have talent, but I was doing some research. As a rising sophomore on their team, well, they made the championship and lost to Texas last year. Got swept in the NCAA title game, and last year they recruited the number one high school volleyball player. She's coming back for a sophomore year, so we do have a challenge as it relates to their desired aspirations and talent, but that's all par for the course. This is what we wanted, what we asked for, so we just have to face the challenge.
And my last point on this, Kelvin, you're exactly right. The biggest thing is limiting our mistakes. We can't have the unforced errors. Mm-hmm. And the funny part to that is actually the totally opposite of what I just said. And this is the Drews thing. The one time you want to be at the net is on the service. Because trust me, with all the volleyball matches that we've covered, and me watching watching this net, and the ball just falling, like hitting it and just falling right over, that has to be the cheapest point. There's still a point in the thing, because when they're getting it, it's hard for them to go up because they're not positioned to go up like they would for a block on the thing. When they're coming on that service, if we can get some folks to practice that net serve, that could be a really big tool against those tall players, because it's counter to everything else that they're doing at the net. So
yeah,
I'm gonna let Cal lead us to the next point. Where are we going?
Yeah. Good luck to the volleyball team. Mm-hmm. I just want to mention that also on Friday, not only do we have the basketball game, which we talked about, and the volleyball game, but we have track. Indoor track stars. The women will be at Clemson for the opener of the indoor track season. So good luck to them. And then on Saturday, the women's basketball team will be at Lawson. So the men at Lawson on Friday, and the women at Lawson on Saturday. So anybody who in the local area or in the driving distance, come on and check out the basketball teams, and let's cheer them on. I did want to mention, because we're getting ready to close out the show, that we did have a couple of players named both on the men and women's side as newcomer of the week. Milton Matthews from the men's team was named SWAC newcomer of the week. I believe he had 14 points against the last opponent we had.
Presbyterian.
And then on the women's side, yeah. And then on the women's, this was because the Presbyterian game was
last night.
So there was the game before that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then on the women's side, Cheyenne McEvans was named SWAC Player of the Week. Yep. And she just got back. She was one of those ones that I think was on the concussion protocol. And so didn't play the first about 4 games, I think it was. But she had a very good week last week. I think she averaged almost 17 points a game. And had a 24-point outing with that. So hopefully they're finding their footing And the big 6'6" young lady still I think hasn't been cleared. And then there's one other young lady who still I think is going through some injury protocols. But as we get this team, the women's teams, as they get some pieces back, we can see, at least I saw at the last game, where they're changing. They're starting to show more of what they're going to look like with pressing and up tempo, and I'm interested to see what they look like over these next 4 games before they get into SWAC play. So
what up?
What?
Kelvin looked like he didn't see what was going on. What up, fellas?
I was looking at something else. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
Roy just kind of threw me in there. I thought he would like kind of do it kind of casually or something, or maybe like do it some kind of different way. He just kind of threw me in there.
Well, I almost put the screen up where you was gonna be stuck in the middle. You like walking in late to class and took a haul.
Sorry, I'm late. Fellas.
No, that's okay. Did you win?
You get your answers to the test. That's what you did, man. Now you got to go read the whole book.
Brian, did you win? That's the question.
Sadly, lost by 2. Lost by 2 points.
Okay. All right. We'll get them next time. Okay.
Tough loss. Yeah, we got to play again tomorrow now. So tough loss.
Okay. All right. Well, Brian, we kind of went through everything, but you didn't get a chance to talk about some of those things. So we're getting ready to wrap up the show, but I'm gonna give you an opportunity to talk about, I think, 2-3 things real quick.
All right.
Your recap of football season and the 28-20 win, and then just the season in general. I think everybody graded Coach at a C in terms of his first year. But what's your thoughts on the football season and that last game against Alabama A&M?
So we're grading Coach Cozy's performance.
Coach Cozy.
Oh man, yeah, I saw a lot of C's in there. Yeah, I understand a C, because I look at the games that I thought were the games where we had opportunities to win and shine. I look at Troy. I think about the Troy game, and I think about, like, I understand the decision with it's like, man, you can't be in the red zone that many times against Troy and not come away with touchdowns. Yeah. And then the one opportunity I still go back to think about is you had a chance to get a touchdown, you had a chance to get a field goal. The field goal could have given us a lead, and we went for it. And I understand the range was it was too tough, but still, I would have rather have given it a shot for the opportunity to have the lead than not take the shot and go for it and not get it. And then they, and then the whole, like, they got one guy. They got one guy. They got one guy. And it's like that one guy. That one guy. How many times did we get beat by like another team's one guy?
Yeah.
That part bothers the S out of me. I mean, it's not like we got beat by multiple players. No, it was a couple losses to one guy. And it's like, damn, okay. Inexplicably, when I think about things like how our defensive backs play, I'm not a coach, and I can't wait to talk to coach. I don't understand the mindset, and maybe I got to go back and do my film research on how Mickey Andrews' defense used to run. But I felt like for us to have the kind of experienced defensive backs, we should have played guys a lot tighter. Given like, we saw it in Miami, we saw it in Troy, but given that 10-yard, the 5 to 10-yard cushion, man, we got burnt on a lot of slant routes and a lot of plays that I'm just like, man, is that really how we're playing that? It didn't feel really aggressive, and I don't think our defense was as aggressive as I think we wanted it to be. I mean, hell, there were times in the Alabama A&M game when we saw the defense get after people, and we were all stunned. We were like, "What? Did we just get pressure? Did we just get pressure on the quarterback?" Yeah. We mean, see, you know, those moments like that, they resonate with me. The one thing I will say is I feel a little validated for my preseason thoughts about running the ball, and despite what everybody kept trying to tell me, in the moment I was the moment I finally bought in and I submitted to everyone telling me, no, we gotta pass and run the ball. This team can't run. What we started to do towards the end of the season, we started to run the damn ball. The offensive line seemed to wake up. The play calling got better. So I mean, yeah, I bet there's a lot of things that coach would go back and have regrets about. You know, they're just plays. You know, I still go back to third down in the Jackson State game. I just can't understand why we throwing the ball. Why not play conservative? Just
run the ball, punt the ball, play defense.
Punt the ball, let your defense, man. We get out of Jackson with a 1-point win. Instead, we lose by 14, and it just, I mean, things like that. And so it's hard. I understand the C grade. You know, I get it. And I do think coach is going to start this off season getting the personnel, getting the mindset and the philosophy the way he wants it.
Does that include the coaching staff, Brian?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to include the coaching staff. I think so. He brought in Henry Burris. Note that. He brought in Henry Burris. And he even
Andre Pope.
He saved a quarterback position when he brought in Burris too. So when we start our preseason speculation, let's start with the young man that came in with Coach Burris, who I think is that the young man from Miami?
Actually, there are about 2 or 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
California. The kid
David
from California.
Jordan. Yeah. David Jordan's a JUCO from California. Bryson Martin is the Miami transfer. We got a freshman quarterback, Traven Green from Rockledge.
But which one came like right after Burris came? He was like the last one to come in.
I want to say David Martin.
I think.
David Jordan. David Jordan.
That was the one I think that was saved because I remember Colsey on our show talked about leaving an open quarterback spot because he wanted Burris to have his guy. So I would not. So if I had to handicap, unless I see some portal, you know, unless we get Makai, what's the Hodges? If Hodges, now if I'm Colsey, I'm it. When the portal opens on Monday, my first letter or my first call is to the young man from UAPB. I'm sorry, but I'm reaching out to, I think it's Hodges.
They've already made some offers. At least made one offer.
We did we?
Not to him, but to
that's we need to make an offer to him.
A Porter QB out of Central Michigan. He played at Hawthorne High School. I don't remember if that was the year they won the title or the year when they made the finals and not. I know
Richardson went to Central Michigan too, didn't he?
Yeah,
2 years ago. Yeah. Any overlap there between the two guys?
I'd have to check.
Okay, so I mean that's kind of interesting, but I hope we, you know, I don't know, that would be my first. I mean, it's gonna be so much opportunity for players that it's in the portal, but I do think. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on what he does with the defensive coordinator position. You know,
what about special teams?
Yeah, I think special teams. I think it's time to make a special teams move. You know, Doc Gamble, nice guy, but we've seen 2 years of the special teams that it needs a new flavor. It needs a new taste. Look, hey, there's some coaching jobs out there. You know, maybe who knows? Maybe Doc Gamble might be applying for some jobs, so it might just work out for him. Where you know there's some opportunities for him out there in some places. But yeah, I think it's time. And here's the thing: watching the Tennessee State playoff game and how they fumbled the bag as a result of special teams play. Did it remind y'all of our playoff appearance in 2021? Yes. Did it? And I hear Kofi. Lord, God bless him. I hear Kofi screaming and fussing about special teams all November. and it reared its ugly head at the end of the season, and almost like I told you so. I told you so. I don't know. I can go back and find the film footage of him, but I just remember him talking about the important. We went and fixed that the next year. We went and fixed it. Tennessee State will have to do the same thing, and it should be a big point for us to say, hey, we got to be better with our special teams, because special teams, even in the Alabama A&M game, I mean, you know, it left much to be desired. So, quick
question, guys, and this for everybody, and we're gonna start with let's start with Marcus. We said we were gonna come back to this in an earlier segment. What's your prediction on the SWAC Championship game coming up Saturday between Southern and Jackson State?
Like a score or just the win or just 2 wins?
There's nobody in the chat room that like, are they? Nobody's watching.
Come on, Marcus. It's no fun just to get a win.
They gonna clip it regardless. So
yeah, I know. That's what they do. They clip everything.
I'm gonna say I think Jackson State's offense is too potent. I don't know if something's gonna keep up. I can't predict a score. I don't think it's gonna be a super blowout, but I can see something like 27-13. It's not gonna be like 40 points or anything like that. But
what about you, Drew?
(34-16) Jackson. I'm going with a blowout.
You gonna be there?
No, I'm actually going to I'm going to Valdosta State and Virginia Union.
Okay.
So I'll be right up the road from you, you know. I got, and sidebar, I know we not I know this is not FAMU related, but do you know that 3 of the Final 4 coaches in Super Region 2 were African American and HBCU graduates? We have 2 head coaches, one of a HBCU institution, one of a non-HBCU institution, but both of them are HBCU graduates. So yeah, just want to throw that out to everybody. And I turned in my Harlan Hill vote today. Jada Byers.
Ooh. This is the final vote, not the region. This is final vote.
Jada Byers was the only HBCU player to make it to the final 8.
Okay.
And the irony is the 2 finalists in Super Region 2 play Saturday. The quarterback from Valdosta State and Jada Byers. Williams, the quarterback from Valdosta State. So I think a lot of voters are going to wait till after Saturday to see what happens in that head-to-head matchup. Because I think that is the only head-to-head matchup of the players who made the final 8.
All right, Brian, what's your prediction on the SWAC Championship game?
I'm looking at some early line predictions. I think the line is going to be somewhere in the originally the first time these teams played, it was like 9.5 to 10. I think right now it's trending like Jackson State may be like a 2-touchdown favorite. I think Southern actually keeps it a little closer, but I'm going Jackson State by like a touchdown. Jackson State by a touchdown. I want them to have I want a South Carolina State Jackson State game. I want to see 1 versus 2. I don't think Jackson State can hang with South Carolina State, but I need people to see it. I need people to see what I see. Put it like that.
Roy?
And I'm rolling with my frat brother Terrence Graves over there and Southern. I think his defense is gonna have something to say to folks, and I think people are getting it. And ironically, I think he's gonna have the same problem that he would have with South Carolina State. He's gonna have that problem with Southern. I think the defense is going to. It's going to stand up in a way that people aren't expecting it. Because I hear Drew, people are talking about the fact that they've got this potent offense. Well, the question is, can we be honest and look at who they played over in the SWAC this year? Our defenses were down. They weren't what they were last year.
And Roy, even with that, Southern still couldn't muster up any real offense.
That was when they didn't have the quarterback that they have playing now. Haven't they fixed the quarterback position? Because that was the issue early in the season for them.
They were playing musical chairs. They were playing musical chairs.
So,
the duct tape and bubble gum has worked for the last 2 weeks.
You talking, and my point is still that the defense is what's going to make the difference. And I think listen. What do you hear our coaches always say? It's very difficult to beat a team twice, and especially when you come in with the chip on your shoulder. You come in with the chip on. Oh, we're Jackson State. We didn't beat everybody else. We didn't show. They're going to come in with that confidence. They're going to, and we know they are. We from the fans to the field, they're going to come in with that confidence. And Southern is going to come in with the exact opposite of that. We've got something to prove. Just like Brian, that was you, because you're talking about trying to get this South Carolina State rematch. Remember, wasn't that you who did Radio Row with me when we interviewed Coach Pugh, or was that Doc?
Probably Doc.
Yeah, like when we interviewed them the last time they played in the Celebration Bowl, and Buddy Pugh was there for his last for that game, and those boys came in there, and we looked in there. That Southern team is going to be focused and ready to play because they have something to prove. And I think that's going to be the difference. I think Jackson State is going to be reading their press clippings because this is, for the first time in the last 2 years, this is TC's team.
Yeah.
And that's why they won't be reading their press clippings because the coach he's confident, but he's a lot more humble than the previous coach. This group of guys, though, they have not accomplished anything as of yet. So they come in. The fans are still the cocky ones when it comes to Jackson State, but I don't think the players come with that same cockiness. They come with confidence, not cockiness.
I'll be back next Wednesday.
Okay,
that's how I wait that long. We see you Sunday on the sports wrap.
No, I got to come back to this one.
You can start off with the sports wrap. How about that?
I mean, look, Mr. 5,000 people in the stands. Don't you start.
Ooh, that's right, Drew. That's right. Did he apologize for that? Did he apologize for that?
He did.
Okay.
I was wrong.
See if you'd have been on the first thing, but you heard it, Brian. My bad.
You must always remember the Rattlers with strike and strike and strike again. Don't play us. We ain't Delaware State. Now,
head coach.
And speaking of Delaware State, I know we got off the subject. I think the official count is 9 for what I saw.
Yeah, there's a lot of positions open. I'm gonna get my prediction on the game right quick. I'm gonna go with Jackson State also. I just think TC is his time. This year, things fell their way. They got by FAMU, and they've done what they needed to do, and they've looked pretty decent. I do agree, though, with Roy in the sense that if Southern don't turn the ball over, because if you remember the first game they met, think about the first game they met this season, right? It was early on. Southern hadn't found their offense yet. They turned the ball over a lot. They got behind early. And then, if I remember correctly, I believe they shut them out in the second half.
Pretty much.
They shut Jackson State. Now, I know Jackson folks might argue, that they shut it down or was more conservative. But at the end of the day, I specifically remember that they got a couple of easy touchdowns on Southern early because of turnovers. And then really nothing happened in the second half for Jackson State. So I do anticipate the game to be closer, maybe all the way into the fourth quarter. But I just think overall, Jackson State is a better team, a more complete. Let's put it a more complete team.
More complete. I don't disagree.
The one thing that you're gonna need to focus on for both of these teams are gonna be explosion plays. Whose defense can stop the other defense from getting those explosion plays, those 15 to 20 yard chunk plays? Whoever wins that battle is going to win the game. Southern, the last 3-4 weeks since they've made the change of quarterback, that's been how their offense is run. Their offense hasn't been been able to grind it out. They've gotten chunk plays here and chunk plays there. We know Jackson State can grind it out. Hell, I mean they got SWAC Player of the Year on offense in Mulligan. So,
all right, we done gave him enough. We done gave him enough love. All right, we done talked about him long enough. This is the O&G StrikeZone. That's the best they get. Hey, Brian, you got anything else you want to get out before we get out of here, man?
No, I mean you guys went through the whole volleyball stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean that was that's crazy to think, and I just went back and again, I appreciate Vaughn sharing some of the videos, but how dominant we were during that period of the early 2000s, and really that the fact that we get a chance to go play a team against one of the legends of volleyball coaching, right? And he's so like he wants to, like, I think he will be upset if they don't sweep us 3-0. Like, I think he will be fit to be tied, you know. And so I really think if FAMU can, I don't know, man. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. I hope this team can win a set. I don't know if we've got it in us to go 5. We've got to play perfect. You know, that's what, and that was one of the things that came out in that video, is that which I guess Roy's playing the series, the Mystique. I mean, we may have to print that. Because or publish that. I don't know. There's only like a snippet of video when we upset Nebraska in Lincoln. But yeah, that loss was the only regular season loss for the Huskers team that season. But that team, that I was reading an article, that Huskers team made some mistakes, and it opened the door for us to, you know, do what we did. So I'm hoping that volleyball can play loose, and that the ladies play a great game. That's my hope. That's what I'd love to see. So other than volleyball thing, hey, we starting it. The no losses in Lawson for the men's basketball team.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to.
It's right there. It's right there. No losses in Lawson. You know, the guys got to keep it going. So, but that's all I got. That's all I got. And we'll have to post that video there, because I know it's like a 10-minute video. But yeah. So
one quick tidbit: somebody in the pit told me Coach Trivanoff is also in the tournament.
He is
really
Chicago State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. So they're playing. It's like, well, all the 3 HBCUs are going against the 3 number 1 seeds. We got Nebraska. I think Dell State has Penn State. And Chicago State, Coach Trivanoff has Louisville. So 3 out of the 4 tops number 1 seeds are getting the HBCUs. Or, well, I don't know. Chicago State, I guess, is considered a minority serving institution. I guess they came after they don't fit the official federal definition of an HBCU based on when they were founded or whatever. But they're a minority serving institution.
Here's what and as we watching some of these videos from this volleyball team from 03 to 4, I think and I say this to all of our media brethren who cover FAMU, we missed an opportunity here to really spotlight what's about to take place on Friday night. We really did. I think the 20-year anniversary, I don't know. We've got to. This is where, you know, we have to. We're so focused on football, rightfully so. We missed an opportunity here, because this is what our volleyball team did during this period was legendary. Mm-hmm. What they're doing now is legendary, and it would have been nice to hear more parallel stories about the 20 year, you know, the 01 to 04 years versus the 21 to 24 years, right? I mean, think about that. Coach Gokhan in these 4 years, what Coach Trivanoff did in those 4 years. It would have been nice to kind of be able to to tie some of these stories together, whether it be interviews with some of these players or other little stories. So, I appreciate Vaughn sharing this video. And I think he played this during the 220 Club as well. But, this was done, 15 years ago when Vaughn did this piece with Coach Trivenoff. So, I think, I hope we get a chance to really shine a brighter light on the volleyball program going forward. I'll close by saying that.
I noticed that was a tall team. Looking at those videos that Vaughn showed.
Yeah, hey, right. I would love to see the stats on what the size were on the ladies' team. Calvin, you were there during that period, right?
Yeah, we didn't have any 6'4" players, but they were, but we had plenty of 6'2", 6-footers.
Yeah,
they were overall they were about the size of this team, a little bit taller.
That's what I'm saying. That team looked about the same size as what we have now.
Yeah. Now they were. How should I put this? They weren't as thin as this team was. They had some meat on their bones, right? they were athletic.
I love the way you said that. Right.
Oh, this one did show out on that one.
It was a different build of player. Different build of player.
Yeah. Physically, they were grown women for sure.
Yeah, grown women. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well said.
All right, fellas. Well, Marvin, closing thoughts. Anything that you want to get in?
Just go Rattlers on Friday. We got everybody going this weekend, so hopefully we can have W's all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Drew. Any last thoughts?
Hey, we still got another team fighting for a championship. A marching 100, the marching sport, as I like to call it. If you're going to be in the Atlanta area, go ahead, get them tickets, get up to the Battle of the Bands, and support the 100.
It is not the Battle of the Bands. It is Band of the Year.
It's the Band of the Year. Band of the Year. But here's the thing. Do you realize FAMU, the Marching 100, is the first band to be in Atlanta for 3 consecutive events? Last year's Celebration Bowl, the SWAC Challenge, and now the Band of the Year contest. Just thought I'd put it out there to you.
Would you? What are you saying? The Fitz is on?
Hey, hell. It looked like the only way the band was going to get there this year was to do it themselves. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, true. All right.
That's fired. Okay.
All right, Drew.
All right, Roy. What's any final thoughts?
Man, just listen, y'all. We appreciate folks. I just want to say we definitely appreciate you guys. What you're tuning in to the O&G StrikeZone, doing what you're doing, all the support, all the subscribers. We've got some things coming up. That's all I'm gonna say. We got some things coming up in 2025. A lot of you folks are actually people who probably been around with us through some of the other stuff back in the MEAC fan page, Days of MEAC fans page.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And all of that stuff that we've got. This January 1st is actually the 25th anniversary of us launching our first radio station, where we started doing our live shows and live broadcasts of sporting events in the BCSN Sports Wrap. But back in those days, of course, we were real Rattler heavy at the front side of that. So we just want to thank you guys and say, hey, stay tuned, be looking for some stuff, and we're going to be doing a lot of things that are going to be a lot more interactive with the fans. Again, we're going to be going back to the future. Because we were always real interactive. We want to get back to that space where we are doing things and having folks come out to different events and stuff. And so just to kind of tease it out there, we're gonna be putting something out there for basketball. So you Rattlers stay in place. That road to Atlanta is gonna be something special. And so we're gonna tease that title up, Road to Atlanta. So y'all be on the lookout for that.
What's in Atlanta?
No
basketball. Basketball wise.
The basketball tournament. Because baseball is gone this year, right? Baseball is going back to Birmingham.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unofficially.
Okay. No, it's official.
Yeah. So that's it. Thank you guys.
Okay. All right. I have nothing to say, but let's go Rattlers, volleyball and basketball. I'll try to be at both games this weekend. And I'm going to get a last word and sign off to you, B.
No, you've done a great job. You got it. Close it out. You brought it in. Close it out, Kelvin. Hey, remind.
Well, all right. What final thoughts you got first?
No. I don't. No more final thoughts.
Just get a plug.
Make sure to subscribe. BCSN Pod Zone everywhere you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Appreciate everybody that listens and subscribes. Go ahead and share the show. That's what we really need. If you're watching the show, whether you watch it live, whether you come back and watch it later, we need you to share the show. Share the show with your family. Make sure you're tuned in for all of the shows that are part of the Black College Sports Network. And make sure you're part of the O&G StrikeZone on X, Instagram, and on YouTube. And that's it. So that's it for, I think, Gerald Thomas. We thank Gerald. I saw the interview with Gerald as I was driving the bus back to school. So good job. Appreciate you, Gerald. Any other guests in the first segment?
Nope. Gerald was our only guest.
All right. Well, we appreciate Gerald always. Can't wait to see where Gerald lands coming out of the portal. And that's it. Drew, we always appreciate you for coming in, filling in like you do. And Roy, thank you for stepping in and producing tonight. So for Marcus, Kelvin, I'm Brian. Fangs up, Rattlers. Make sure to strike again. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.